Hey, I am a revision geek and I want you to come and join my revision geek world. Welcome to the Diaries of a Revision Geek. I cannot wait for you to watch these interviews. They are so super fun. I've got qualified accountants together talking about their revision journeys, the highs, the lows, the struggles, and all the things in between about how other people got their plaque up on the wall and how they got qualified. I've picked qualified accountants in my LinkedIn network on purpose to help and support you guys, to inspire and motivate you if you are on your accounting journey. Feel free to like and subscribe below for more. Just click on the icons and I will keep you up to date with the Diaries of a Revision Geek. Let's get started. In today's interview, we have Chelsey. She is AAT and ACA qualified. In Chelsey's journey, we talk about her natural but geeky filled motivational journey, the fact that she knew what she wanted and she knew what her skill sets were. It made for a refreshing conversation and a refreshing journey for sure, and where her ACA has led her. Enjoy the Revision Geek interview. Let me know what you think. Today's interview is with Chelsey. I'm very excited again because I have no idea what Chelsey's journey is like. So welcome. Thank you for being here. Please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, I'm Chelsey. I work as a financial controller for a manufacturing business. I qualified in 2016 with ICAW as a chartered accountant, and I have been working in industry since I was part qualified. I did 4 years in practice and the remainder of my career has been in industry.
Oh, you're our first ACA revision geek. Yes, we've got.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we've got a mix of AAT, CIMA, ACCA, and ACA. Oh, so I'm very excited to learn about your journey. Yeah, I know I don't know loads about ACA, so yeah, that's exciting to me. Okay, cool. So let's get straight into it. I would love to know. Talk me through your journey.
So I started out doing my A-levels. Didn't really know what I wanted to do, but at GCSE I did really good in maths and really good in business. So I thought I'll do maths, business and accounting because that's a mixture of both. So I did really well in my A-levels and decided accounting was definitely the career choice for me. So I first did my AAT because I decided not to go down the university route because I looked at jobs for accountants and saw they needed a lot of practical experience. So I got my first job when I was 17. Did my AAT qualification pretty quickly and then decided I need to do like the chartered degree or the ACCA. So I started up in practice, moved to my second practice when I was AAT qualified to do my ACA qualification. And that's where I did a lot of audit work, small business accounts and tax as well. Got a wide range of experience because working for a small to medium-sized practice. And then when I was part qualified, I liked audit, but liked enjoying watching and doing work on just one company, not many companies. So I decided to take the plunge and move into industry when I was part qualified, which was a little bit unusual at that time. That was like back in 2015. And I remember speaking to one of the ICAW members and they said this is really unusual for any of our members to actually go into industry. So I actually qualified whilst I was in industry working as a senior accountant for a technology and consultancy company, which I really, really enjoyed. When I was working, I was promoted 3 times. I led a team of like 6 people when I was like 25 years old. And then I moved into the company where I'm currently working, which is a manufacturing business. They manufacture refuse collection vehicles. I've been with them for about 4.5 years. Again, I've been promoted 3 times. And since I've finished my ACA in 2016, I've also done an MBA at Warwick Business School. So my ACA qualification has led me more into sort of wider business as well.
Oh, congratulations. Lots of achievements. Oh my God, so many things to talk about. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So going back to the start then, was it, how much research did you do between ACA and ACCA, and what made you pick?
So I was always really good at the financial reporting side of accounting, not so good at the management reporting. And I also wanted to do a qualification that was recognised more in England. And I saw that ACA is more of a, I think it's not so much now, but it was seen as more of a prestigious qualification than ACCA. And I'm sorry to any ACCA qualified people, because that's not my belief. But it was at the time when I was qualifying, and I remember speaking to my practice manager, and he said, no, you've got to do the chartered degree. And that's probably because it was coming from somebody with a practice background, because it is typical for accountants in practice to do the ACA route rather than the ACCA or CIMA route. So that's primarily the route I took. It was just influence that I had around me, and because I was working in practice, and generally because I was better at the financial reporting side. So I thought, I'll do the one that I'm better at, not the one that I find most difficult.
Yeah, that's a good choice. And yeah, it does influence and impact who you're surrounded by, and what those influential people are saying to you, you know. If at that time, we don't know, at that time I remember people helped me pick CIMA, and I didn't know really the difference between ACCA and CIMA, and these guys were, I believed in them, I trusted them, and they said CIMA's the way, so I went that way. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's the thing, you don't know until you actually do it yourself. So it's really difficult to make that distinction, because when you talk about management accountants and financial accountants, people just go, what does that even mean? But until you're an accountant and have been through that process, you won't really understand it. So you do kind of take guidance from your peers.
And with your ACA journey, how did you study through those exams?
So I attended Kaplan in Birmingham to take my exams. I found them really, really useful. And then I would literally be working, as many people are, I think, who are studying for ACA. I'd be working all day, coming home, revising all night. But because a lot of the papers were like financial reporting, tax, it was the areas that I was most confident in. So the revision almost became not difficult for me. It was just like doing repetitive papers over and over again. For my final case though, I did go to London. There was a separate revision course in London that specialised in case, and the guy who led the course used to write the papers for case, and I chose to do that over Kaplan because of his past experience, because case isn't really one, it's the final exam you take at ACA, but it isn't really the one that you can have loads of textbook knowledge for. It's kind of one that you have to apply your professional judgment to, and being so young in the industry, I didn't really have a lot of experience doing that. So I think going and doing an external course as well as having Kaplan, it kind of gave me that advantage.
And he must have given you his insight into his experience and all of the things he's seen, so you could soak up that language and not copy, but just soak it up, right?
Yeah, definitely. It gave me kind of a way of thinking about the exams, which is what you need for case, because you can take as many textbooks as you like into case. It's more about your professional judgment and how you apply that to the scenario. That's why I found actually going out and meeting in a small group of people and learning from somebody who has been a past examiner for that paper was much more useful than just revising and doing loads of practice papers, because it doesn't really work like that for case.
Yeah, and I would say if you had done that, obviously it's easy in hindsight, but if you had, you might have just been doubting yourself a little bit, like, am I right? I'm reading this thing, or I'm writing this answer, but am I right? I don't know. So yeah, I'm glad there's options like that out there for sure. It's good.
Yeah, definitely.
So did you have first time passes? Did you fail any of your exams?
I was lucky enough to have first time passes, and I was also lucky enough to win 2 awards for my papers. And again, they were just papers that I was really strong in. I don't know if I did revise really hard for all my exams, but some things just came naturally to me, like the tax papers and the reporting papers. They were just ones I found the easiest. So like I said, I found myself revising, but not revising. I was actually, like, without sounding too nerdy, like kind of enjoying it as well, because I was getting to the right answer every time. So I was thinking, yeah, I really get this straight away.
And was that because of the work experience that you were doing on a daily and weekly basis, or was that just because of your academic likeness with, I just mathematically understand it?
I think it was a little bit of both, really, because some of the papers, like the management accounting stuff, I really struggled with. I mean, I did pass the papers first time, but I did really struggle and I had to put a lot of effort into the revision. Whereas for the stuff like tax, I didn't have that much experience at the time in tax, but because it was numerical, I just kind of understood it. My brain just got it. So that's why I thought, this is easy, but I'll still carry on revising, and then managed to, I won an award for my business tax paper and my financial reporting paper. But I think that was just because I literally sat there doing like every question, but it was because it wasn't difficult to me.
So talk me through those awards then. What does that mean? What did that mean?
In terms of the papers themselves?
Yeah, I mean, you're being a bit shy with us, Chelsey. Shout about it. It's totally okay. Like, it's good to be. If you're a prize winner, tell us. You know, were you first in the world? Things like that. What were your awards?
I was first in the West Midlands for both papers, for business taxation and financial reporting and accounting, which are one of the final papers that you do just before you do case.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You should definitely write that on your CV and shout about
like
it.
I said, I was just being geeky, because I was just practice, because I think, as many people, students will know, practice makes perfect in this profession. So the more questions you practice, the better you become, because the more scenarios you've seen. So I was just doing it repetitively every night. I'd come home from work, I'd sit there with all my books laid out on my bed and just literally do question after question, and see as much scenario as I possibly could. And that helps me the most during my exams.
And it does make a huge difference.
It does,
sure. Yeah. So there's no judgment here, guys. Like, I don't want anyone to be like, oh my God, I'll never do that, or I'll never be able to do that. But I just had nothing better to do, clearly. Yeah, everyone's journey is different, and that's why I'm interviewing so many people on purpose, to inspire and motivate us in lots of different ways. So obviously you had probably some space in your day and week to do that, right? You know, so why did you how did that work for you? What was your weekly schedule?
So I'd work like 8 hours a day, maybe more sometimes. I worked for like a startup business when I was working in industry, and they were a fast growing company. So my day was get up in the morning, go to work all day, come home at about 6 o'clock, and then eat dinner, and then just sit there and revise. So literally just get my question bank out. That's what it used to be. I think it's all electronic now, but we used to have the physical books with all the questions in, and then also an answer book as well. So I used to just literally go through, make sure I do all of the questions, as many as I could in the night. Sometimes I would be up until like 1 or 2 in the morning, so it wasn't easy, but you have to kind of go through that process, I think, to make sure. And I wanted to make sure I didn't retake any papers, because I didn't want to go through having to retake again. Because as much as I really enjoyed some of the question papers, and I really understood them really easily, I did not want to have to retake a paper, because I knew it would then slow me down. So, and I was taking 2 per sitting. I wasn't doing like the normal 3 per sitting. And that was because I was working for a growing company. So we were sometimes working like 60-hour weeks. So I could only really take 2 per sitting. But I just made sure, I was like, no, I cannot fail an exam. So the more I do, the better prepared I am for the exam. That was my thinking. And it did pay off, but obviously it was a lot of hard work.
I'll come on to that for sure. But my next question is, did your AAT support you with your ACCA journey? What was your AAT journey like?
Yeah, so I really enjoyed that. I did it at Solihull College, and it was obviously my first proper taste of accounting. So although I did it for A level, you learn kind of the fundamental basics there, like double entry. When you do AAT, it's very much more focused towards preparing accounts. You do like ETBs, balance sheets, P&Ls, and it took me through that whole process of understanding this is what it means to be an accountant. So that process went really smoothly for me as well, and I just picked that up really quickly. But that was probably because it didn't get into the nitty-gritty or technical stuff then. It was just more like understanding double entry, understanding how to create an ETB. So it was much more numerical as well, which I obviously found a lot easier than the other subjects.
And you passed all of your exams first time?
I did, yeah.
Good. And then what did you go straight into your ACCA, or did you have a break in between?
No, I went straight into it. So I finished AAT, and I was like, I need to do my chartered degree. And I was already working in practice at that time. And then I decided to move to another practice because the current place I was working, they couldn't support my ACA studies. So I moved to another small to medium-sized practice, and worked there for like two years, just under 2 years, when I became part qualified, and then moved into industry.
Yes, and like you said, with that move to industry, it is unique for sure, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's becoming more common now, but
yeah.
previously, I remember everyone was shocked. My mentor at ICAW was like, no one ever does this. And I had to come out to the business and make sure we were approved training provider and speak to my managers to make sure I'd get the right experience. So, but I think it's more common now, or becoming more common.
I would say I've heard from it being more common once you've qualified instead of being part qualified and doing it halfway through.
Yeah, it was a very big move, but I made it on the assumption that I knew I would enjoy it more than what I was enjoying, like audit and taxation and accounting. It's just not, I wanted to learn a whole business, and I'd done business studies for A level, and obviously I did my MBA after ACA as well. So I was interested in the finance part because that was the part that I was good at, but I wanted to also understand how a business operates. So I knew I had to get real world experience and not just stay in practice. But some people, that's their ambition, is to become like an audit partner, in which case you would stay in practice and you'd continue that journey. But my journey was just a bit different.
When you made that decision, was that how scary was that decision for you, or was it again, I don't want to assume, but was it scary, or was it like, this is absolutely the right thing for me to do? What was that decision process for you?
No, it was as soon as I went for the job interview. I think it was the only job interview I actually went for of the company that I joined, but I knew straight away that this is definitely for me, and working in an accountancy practice just wasn't the right type of role for me. And I knew, to be fair, before I even went into practice, that it wasn't going to be right for me for the foreseeable. So I just did my stint in practice to get my experience that I needed from a technical point of view, to get my audit qualification, and then I just kind of left and went into industry because I knew ultimately that's where I wanted to be anyway from the very start of my journey.
And did anybody at that point in time say to you, oh, you should change to CIMA or ACCA?
No, to be fair, my company were really supportive of the fact that I was ACA qualified, and even the company that I've moved to now, they are an international company, but they were sort of looking specifically for an ACA qualified person to fulfill the role that I'm doing. So I think it is still like a recognised qualification. It just depends what the company is actually looking for, what skill set.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I just think some people might be like, oh, you could just move, you've got exemptions, you could just move. I speak to lots of students who are like part qualified thinking, oh, ACCA is really tough, I want to move to CIMA, or vice versa. So I was just intrigued with that.
I think they're all tough in their own way. I know I said earlier ACA was seen as a more prestigious qualification because people said it's more challenging. But my view is they're all challenging in their own way. It just depends what you have an interest in and what you're good at. I mean, I went for what I know that my strengths were in, and that was tax reporting. So ACA was like the right choice for me. But I think ACCA is more internationally recognised as well, because obviously ACA is just specific to England and Wales, but ACCA is, I'm told later on, it's more internationally recognised. So if you want to move abroad, that's probably the route to go down.
Yes, I would agree with you. Yeah, but still, you're still a chartered accountant now, so I would probably just lead with that. 90% of the skills are probably all the same, and you'll learn if you wanted to move to like, I don't know, the other Australia, then you'd learn their rules, right?
Yeah, you would have to do that anyway, wouldn't you? So it goes for every country, they'll have their own individual rules, so you'd have to sort of learn those rules anyway, no matter where you went.
Again, I don't want to assume anything, but I'm really intrigued to chat to you about your confidence level. I know it's not easy for listeners to be like, oh my God, Chelsea's so confident. She knew what she wanted to do. She went for it. She passed. So talk us through your confidence level. Are you a confident lady?
I think I have become that. I wasn't probably so much when I was at the start of my qualification. And I think that's a given for everybody. And every person, I mean, I've worked with some people who have just qualified or who are still going through their qualification, and every person has this perception that we're supposed to know everything, and that is just the wrong perception, because we can't possibly. There are so many things that for you to know, and it's about understanding that actually you're not going to know everything all the time unless you're an absolute expert who's had like 20-30 years experience in that one particular subject. But my confidence has definitely grown since qualified. I've won a few awards and kind of developed my career, but that's kind of been helped by the fact that I've known what I wanted to do and where I want to be. So I've always had that clear vision in my mind.
That's it. I'm going to ask you later about your next vision, because I'm sure that hopefully you've got the next one too. So I went down the university route. That's what served me, and that's what I needed to do for my life and career. So I got a business studies degree, and you said that you didn't choose to go down the university route. So I know it's easy in hindsight, but did that work out? Has that worked out for you, do you think? What were the challenges you had by not doing that?
So because I never did it, I don't see the disadvantage of not having it, apart from that whole experiencing student life. Obviously I didn't have that experience. However, I've obviously done my MBA since then, and I've really found value in that, because I went to a university, met people in my cohort, part of an alumni now, which has been really great in terms of my network. But I didn't really feel like I was at a disadvantage for not going to university, apart from, like I said, living like this typical student life, because I was there like working, revising every night, so I didn't have like a student life at that age. But I don't feel like I was disadvantaged by that. If anything, in this profession, people are always asking for ACA, ACCA, CIMA qualification. It's not about what degree you got at university necessarily. I mean, it is if I think you want to work for like the likes of PwC or KPMG. I think their grad intake is you need a good degree from a university. But if you want to work for a company and you want to make money straight away, you don't need to go to university. You can do your qualification, and companies support that as well. So that was the biggest thing for me. I don't have a student loan, and I was earning from when I was 17. So, and it hasn't hindered my career. I mean, I've got a great role in a great company that's a really senior position. So it hasn't sort of stopped me.
Do you think you made sure you did your MBA because you didn't have a good degree, or was that just a separate decision afterwards?
Yeah, I didn't feel like I needed to do that. It's a lot of money, so it's not something that you would just think, oh yeah, I'll just do that, because it's not like government funded. You pay for it all yourself. I made a conscious effort to do that because I knew the finances really, really well. I'd obviously been doing it for a very long time and thought I really need to get experience in a business, understanding how a business works, because I knew that even from, like I said, a young age, I knew that's what my vision was going to be. So I decided to do the MBA purely out of that opportunity, not because of the fact that I thought it was a hindrance to me not doing a degree.
You've had lots of highs for sure. It sounds an amazing journey, but do you feel comfortable talking about any of your lows, your lowest points, and through your AAT or ACA?
Yeah, it was probably the papers that I struggled with, really. So like the financial management papers, I really, really struggled to understand those. And there were times where I was at uni till like 10 o'clock at night about Kaplan in Birmingham, trying to get my head around how it all works, and still to this day it doesn't go in. And I think just some people have it and some people don't. It's like me with tax. I completely understand a lot of the complex tax issues, whereas some people just go, absolutely no, that's not for me. I'm like that, but with the financial management stuff. So at that point I was so worried that I wouldn't pass my exam, and on some of them I'd like scraped through. Luckily I did, but I scraped through in comparison to winning awards for some. I scraped through on others, and I beat myself up after the exam, and I think everyone does. You go into an exam, you do your best, you know, you try and write an answer for everything, you leave thinking, oh my god, I haven't got the same as you, because other people talk and they say they put this and you didn't put that, and it's such really stressful. And it, for me, I literally couldn't calm myself down until I had that result in my hands until I know I've passed, because it was just constantly on my mind until that point. And at that point we were waiting like 6-7 weeks. I mean, I don't know what the time frames are now, but it was like 6-7 weeks before you got your results. So for 6 or 7 weeks I was entirely stressed.
And what was your self-talk like in that period? Were you trying to be positive and kind to yourself, or was the voice like, oh my god, you failed, resit, oh my god, you're rubbish, oh my god,
I was literally looking when the resit bookings were. I was literally like, right, if I fail I can rebook and resit at this point. But I just tried to calm myself down by saying, look, you went in, you did your best, there is absolutely nothing you can do now, you just have to wait for the result. I mean, thankfully it never happened to me, but you just kind of have to keep yourself level-headed during that time, because you've probably got other things to focus on as well. I mean, I was already starting to do tuition and revision for other exams, so I had to kind of take my mind off it in some way and put my mind onto the things that I was doing at that point in time. But even if you fail, it's not the end of the world. Like, it happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's really not the end of the world.
It's not. You just get up and retake. I mean, I've just been lucky enough not for that to happen, but if it does happen, you just pick yourself up and you retake.
For sure. And you can retake. I think that's one of the good things. I mean, I know.
Oh yeah, definitely.
We need to use these opportunities.
I think I'd have been far more stressed if there wasn't an opportunity to retake.
Yeah, gosh, that would be horrible. Or if they let you only resit 3 times or something, I'd be like, oh, I wouldn't cope with that.
No.
Yeah. So exciting me. That's why I'm like, oh my god, this is so many things. So you sound like a very ambitious lady. Again, I'm assuming things about you, but you had a vision. And talk me through your personality a little bit, if you feel comfortable, about how a vision works for you and how it motivates you.
Yeah, so when I was younger, I always knew I wanted to do something in business. I don't know why. I was just like, I've got to do something in business, even before I did my GCSEs. And that's why when I did get to choose my options, I was like, business studies has got to be one of my options, because I really want to do this. And as part of my GCSE papers, we put together a business plan. I really enjoyed that. So then obviously when I went to do my A-levels, I did accounting and sort of really got a feel for that, and was like, yeah, I get this. This is really easy for me, but I still want to kind of work in business or be something in business, a C-suite level or a director or something like that. So I just kind of kept pushing myself to the next level and kept thinking I need a plan always. If I haven't got a plan, then I'm not going anywhere. So I need to understand. That's why when I started at my company where I'm at the moment, 3 months in, I was like, I need to do an MBA. I know finance. If I continue to do this, I'm stuck. I need to push myself further onto the next level. So I always try and have a plan and open myself up to like opportunities, because that's what kind of motivates me. If there's an opportunity there, I try and sort of like take it and gain experience from it as much as I can, because I have my ultimate goal. And if I ever reach that, then I don't know what I'll do after that. I'll be one of those people where I'll reach it and I'll be like, it's not enough. But I am like that, to be honest. In my job, I'm always kind of thinking, okay, where's my next step up? What am I doing to reach that next step up?
And what's your ultimate goal then? Would you want to share that with us?
Yeah, so one day I want to be either C-suite level, own my own company. Now I had earlier last year in January 2021, I co-founded a business in hydrogen metering with some other academics from Warwick Business School. I'm doing that alongside doing my full-time job as a financial controller for the manufacturing business, and that's to gain experience of literally understanding what it takes to build up a business from start, you know, to the point where we go for investment and we've hopefully raised some funds. So that should give me experience in what it means to start a business. So I'm sort of pushing that part of my career development, but then also in work I'm always kind of looking for my next step up, trying to get involved in things that I know will benefit my career, and ultimately want to be either in my career at C-suite level or run and own my own company. I mean, I think the latter I would prefer. I think anybody would, but obviously it is much more difficult to get there. So I always have a fallback plan where it's either my career that's going to go on a projection, or it's my own business idea that is. So it's one or the other.
And I might be really embarrassing, I might not put this in, but what's C-suite?
So that's like a chief financial officer, chief executive officer. So that's the very top level of the organisation.
Being old, I would, so in my brain that's the board, but yeah, that's okay.
I
was thinking there's an IT C-suite kind of.
No.
I don't think you're talking about the coding.
No. I'm just talking about, like, obviously not CTO. I would want to be like a chief financial officer or a CEO, preferably someone like that, who just like has overview and control and running a business. Basically, that's what I ultimately want to get to.
Being the leader at the top.
Yeah, that's effectively what I want to do, but more from a point of view that I want to be able to have that sense of achievement of, like, yeah, I help this business move forward, or I started this business from scratch and look where it is now. That's what sense of achievement I want out of it, and that's where I'm trying to get to in my career somehow.
Yeah, you sound like you are ready with your plans to get there, which is very exciting and motivating for sure. I do believe in a plan. I'm glad you said you've got like a plan A and a plan B, because that's an accounting thing to do, I think. We're not creatives necessarily, are we? We're just like plan A, just go for plan A all the time. Like, no, we need a backup plan, like an audit trail or something, like safe.
We're risk averse, yes. So I'm protecting all of my risks.
So one thing with that kind of protection kind of conversation, so there's a lot of voices and noise out there, for our journeys. And how did you reduce that? I feel like to be this motivated and this ambitious, you can not block it off, maybe block it off. Like, how did you not let that affect your mindset and words and stories you were telling yourself?
I think it's just because I always knew where I wanted to be in my career. I always knew what I wanted to get out of my job. I know I'm not like a typical person who can just come in, do the same thing every day, day in, day out. I just not that type of person. I can't do that. I need like challenge in my day, and I always knew that I was like that. So I think knowing that and having like a sight, an end goal in sight, gives you the opportunity to make a plan and have objectives. And then, no matter what comes in your way, you just think, no, this is my goal and this is where I'm going to get to, and nothing's going to stand in my way. So that's kind of the mentality that I had. Is, there were people who put me off. I remember when I did my A levels, my tutor was saying to me, don't do AAT, you don't want to restrict yourself to just doing accounting, you want to go to uni, you want to do a degree, and then it'll open more opportunities. And I was like, no, I want to be an accountant. That's what I want to do. So I went and did that, and I don't regret it. And obviously everyone's different, everyone has a choice, but it's because I was so focused and I knew what I wanted to do and where I wanted to be and how I needed to get there. And I also researched a lot. Like I looked it up on Google before I even decided what qualification I was going to do. I was Googling jobs of what I wanted to do and what they were requiring for me to get into that kind of role. So then I knew, okay, I need this and this skill. How do I get that? This is what I need to do to get that.
So good. So exciting. Oh, I wish I'd known you 10 years ago, Chelsey.
I don't know. I think I've just been so busy there.
So the questions I'm asking everyone, because the interviews are all about inspiring and motivating qualifying accountants like we were once, right? So one question is, what opportunities did you think would come from when you first started?
So I thought opportunities in accounting would come up, and I thought this is a good profession to get into because I thought it's well paid. That's what I was thinking at the time. I was thinking it's a well-paid profession, it's a respected profession to have, so there'll be a lot of opportunities because everybody needs an accountant. So I thought the role can never become redundant because you always need somebody to sort out your taxes if it's not in practice, or to be an accountant in industry. So I always knew that there was going to be opportunities for me.
And once you qualified, so since 2016, what opportunities have come for you? What rewards and opportunities have you had?
So I've had loads. So I've obviously moved into the roles that I've moved into, like I explained earlier, but there's always roles available in this profession that I've found anyway. And there's opportunities in different areas. So you find that some people have a finance background, but they don't work in finance, which may be where my career heads. That you get some people who are like chief operating officers, but they've actually got a financial background, so it can lead you into many different aspects of business. And you probably see that when you do your qualification, you'll do like a little bit of marketing and like professional judgment. When you do case, it's all about like different skill sets, so it's not just accounting that it opens the door for. It opens the door for many other things as well, particularly in running a business. Like for instance, my career path, it's opened a lot of doors, and with the MBA it was really helpful to have started off as an accountant, and it's a typical route that other people have chosen who've done an MBA as well, because it's already to do with business, and you do a finance module on the MBA and you just kind of fly through it because you already know it. But it opens up many doors in many aspects of business, so it's not just restricted to finance unless you want it to be.
For sure, there's so many that we didn't even know until we got the plaque, right? And the doors there's so many doors, for sure. Thank you. So the final question I'm asking everybody, I love this question. I give a lot of daily revision tips on LinkedIn, and I would love to know what your number one revision tip is for any qualifying accountants listening.
For me, it was revision makes or practice makes perfect. The more questions you practice, the more experience you have of different scenarios, because the examiner can throw any scenario in there, and if you've never seen it before, you've never had to deal with it. So it's difficult, especially when you're in the professional judgment side of the exams, because you have to apply your judgment to the scenario. It becomes a lot more difficult if you've never experienced that situation before. So I would just say practice as many questions as you can.
Thank you. That is such good advice, and it's so true. And we might not feel like it at the time, but trust us, guys, we say practice for a reason. It's not just one kind of practice. Yeah. Thank you so much for being interviewed today and being a revision geek with me. I've enjoyed it so much. Thank you, Chelsey, for being here.
No problem. Thank you for having me.